Hey, what up, Geo folks? Going to go through. Yesterday we talked about in class instead of segment, the angle relationships. So really quick, if we had two chords crossing, secants crossing, how did we find out the measure of angle E, which we'll call it that angle E? So what did we have to do? We had to find the measure of the intercepted arcs. So we did CA plus the other arc BD, added them together, and divided by 2. And if we had the angle on the outside, we would take the arcs, subtract them, and divide by 2. So today we're going to look at what happens when side lengths, the chords intersect, and we're talking about the lengths of the chords versus the angle measures they create, right? So over here on the side, we have 3 different scenarios. One of them is what happens when we have chords on the inside and they're intersecting. So what does it say? The products meaning multiplication of the measures of the segments of the chords are equal. So taking the diagram that we had here, so the distance from TX and XA, so the 2 parts of one chord multiplied together, the products, is equal to the other 2 parts multiplied together. All right, so how are we going to apply that? Well, on one chord, we have these 2 measurements. We have 4, and we have x plus 3. That's going to equal the same as the other 2 parts, so 6 times x minus 1. So the 2 parts multiply together, and we go ahead and distribute 4x plus 12 is equal to 6x minus 6. Subtract 4x, and then add 6 to both sides. That's going to equal 2x. This side is equal to 18. Divide by 2. X is equal to 9. So we found out the value of x. We would take and plug that back in and get the values that we need. So again, when 2 chords on the inside are crossing, the 2 portions of the 2 segments that make up one whole multiplied together equal the other 2 portions multiplied together. I'll go ahead and you try example number 1 right here. So we got those 2 together, 8x equals 6 times 4. Our 8x equals 24. Divide by 8. X is equal to 3. You can plug that back in to find side lengths. Same thing down here. It's asking us to find the side length of C to D. So we have these 2 measurements multiplied together. The product is equal to the other product. 6 times 5. Just 30. Divide both sides by 8. And if you divide 15 quarters, and then 15 divided by 4, gives us a grand total of 3.75. And then we would plug that in for x. The length of C to D is 3.75 plus 8, or 11.75. All right, so that's the case if we are talking about 2 chords crossing on the inside. All right, another scenario we have is what happens when we have 2 secants crossing coming from the same point. Well, yesterday we talked about angle measures. We would take the arcs and subtract them. So AC minus BD divided by 2. All right, that's a review from yesterday. Now we're talking side lengths. So all the stuff secant, secant. If 2 secant segments are drawn to a circle from an exterior point, then the product of the measures of one secant segment and its external secant segment is equal to the product of the measures of the other second segment and it's external. All right, so first things first, external is outside. So the 8 and the 6 would be considered the external segments. All right, so when we're talking the external segments here, we're talking about the 6 or the 8. All right, so the product of one of the measures of one secant, well, one secant length is this. So x plus 6, that's the whole length from O to L times the external. So it's like the whole times the outside is equal to the whole. Well, the whole is from S to L, 18, and 8 makes 26, times the outside segment, which is 8. And then we can take and multiply everything out, distribute the 6x plus 36 is equal to 26 times 8, which gives us a grand total of 208. And then we would subtract 36. We get 6x equals 172. And then we're going to take 172 and divide by 6 and get a grand total of 28.6 repeating. All right, so again, the whole segment, so using this diagram, NL, whole segment times the outside is equal to the whole times the outside. All right, so example 3, find PQ, so we're going to solve for X, and then that's just P to Q, so we'd be done. So we're going to go the whole, 10, 4 plus 6 is 10, times the outside segment, which is 4, is equal to the whole segment X plus 5 times the outside segment, which is 5. So we're going to have 40 is equal to 5x plus 25. Subtract 25, we get 15 is equal to 5x, or x is equal to 3. Just find a PQ, x is equal to 3, done and done. All right, you guys try this one. Whole, x plus 13 times the outside, which is 13, is equal to the whole 39, because that's 30 plus 9, times the outside, which is 9. So then you're going to go ahead and distribute everything that you need. And we would do 13 times z is 13, and 13 times 13, which gives us a grand total of 169. And then 39 times 9 gives us a grand total of 351. So then we're going to subtract 169. And get 13z is equal to 182. And then we're going to take 182 and divide it by the 13 out in front of the z. 182 divided by 13 gives us a grand total of 14. And then in the directions it says find the length of J to G. Well, z was equal to 14. And so the whole length measure is 14, and 13 makes JG equals 27. All right, so that's if we had two secants. Third scenario is what happens when we have a chord and the secant. And again, same thing. We have the inside A to D equal to, the inside B to D, subtract and divide. When we have the things on the outside, we're talking angles. So we have that same picture here. So it's saying if a tangent segment and a second segment are drawn to a circle from an exterior point, then the square of the segment is equal to the product of the measures of the second segment and its external segment. So that same concept. All right, so we got a secant. On the last problem we did the outside times the whole. That's going to be the same thing. Now when we have a tangent, it's just that distance squared, raised to the second power. And that's going to be what we're equal to. So when we're looking here, UG is the tangent. We're going to square that. That's going to equal the whole length U to B times the outside segment, which is UA. All right, so how's this going to look? Well, we have the tangent segment, that's 10, and we're going to square it. That's equal to the outside segment 6 times the whole segment, which is 6 plus x. So we get 100 is equal to 36 plus 6x. And then we're going to subtract the 36 to both sides. And we're going to get 64 is equal to 6x. And then we're going to divide both sides by that 6. So 64 divided by 6 gives us a grand total of 10.6 repeating. All right, second example, we have a tangent and a secant. The tangent is squared, so x squared is going to equal the whole segment. 5 plus 4 is 9 times the outside segment, which is 4. And we get x squared is equal to 36. Again, this is good practice, what we've been doing all year. When we have a square, we take the square root of both sides, and x is going to equal the square root of 36, which is x. All right, last but not least, again, we have tangent, so we're going to square 4 squared. That's going to equal the whole length, y plus 3, times the outside, which is 3. 4 squared is 16. Distribute the 3. We get 3y plus 9. Subtract 9 to both sides. We get 7 is equal to 3y. Divide both sides by 3. And you're going to get 2.3 repeating is equal to y. Done and done. All right. So again, just recapping, we have 3 different scenarios. One, what's the relationship if the two circles, the circle has 2 different chords crossing? We would do the parts of each chord multiplied together is equal to the parts of the other one. All right. What happens if we have a secant and another secant? Outside times the whole is equal to the outside times the whole. So in this case, the outside is EL, the whole length is NL. So we do NL times the outside EL, same thing. KL is the whole times WL, which is the outside. And then last but not least, we have it is a tangent. We would square the tangent and equal to the outside times the whole. So you have 3 different scenarios to look out for as you're going through and working. Just make sure you're looking at the right one. And then once you're done with taking notes, you have the opportunity to finish 11.6 in your packet. Enjoy the rest of your day.